Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to look at the OP07 pre-release tournament. It's been announced, and I am very, very excited about it. This is stuff, well, not to be blunt, that is worth getting very, very excited about. Now, it is happening on June the 21st to June the 27th, which makes perfect sense, of course, because June the 28th is when we see the release of OP07 proper, and it would be a little bit weird to carry on the pre-release when the release has actually happened. Now, one thing that's super weird, and I don't really understand, they're not showing off the OP07 artwork. Like the release tournament, splash, advert, call it what you will, over on the website, has the generic Luffy art that we've seen multiple times so far. And when they talk about getting a booster box, they're not showing the artwork off. More on that in a second. So I don't really understand why, because our booster packs all just have the same artwork as Japan. And we've seen the Japanese artwork, the booster pack art for OP07. We saw that a long time ago at this stage. So I really don't understand why we can't see it now. I don't know why it's being hidden from us. It's not usually hidden from us this late. Like by the time the pre-release is announced, we usually know about it. And I don't really think there's any scenario in which we have a different booster pack artwork to Japan. That just doesn't happen. So honestly, I'm a little bit confused why they're not showing it to us. But here's a Japanese booster pack artwork so you know what it looks like. So it's the usual kind of deal we tend to see here. Like I say, it's happening for space of a week, ending on June the 27th, the day before the release of the set. And yes, if you go and take a look at the product page for OP07 on the website, once again, they are not showing us the artwork. I really don't know why. This makes very little sense to me, and it's honestly kind of confusing. And you got the usual deal whereby if you go to the pre-release, you can buy a booster box early. Plus, you get an extra pre-release pack. We'll get there in a minute. This is awesome. It's one of my favourite things about pre-releases for One Piece. Not every game does this. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I love going to Pokemon pre-releases. Pokemon pre-releases are awesome. You cannot buy a booster box of the new Pokemon set at a Pokemon pre-release. It doesn't happen. It's just not a thing. It's not a criticism. I understand why you can't, but it's so awesome that you can. And you can only buy one, so yes, I suppose there's a chance that scalpers can get on it a little bit. But again, the fact that you can only buy one really does hurt that quite a bit. It just allows fans to get boxes a little bit early, to get involved. I love this. I think it's brilliant. I think it's wonderful. I love that Bandai do this. But of course, there is a pre-release promo as well, and it is promo 67 Captain Eustace Kid, which is, well, basically another one of those magazine promos. Japan loves doing magazine promos. I buy every single magazine that has a promo in Japan, so obviously I've got the Japanese version of this card. If anyone's wondering, incidentally, it was from the April issue of V-Jump, which also featured a bunch of other promo cards, including a Son Goku promo for Dragon Ball Fusion. So yay, good magazine, worth picking up, glad I did. And we'll have a good chat about what it does in a moment, but before we get to there, we've got the winner's version, and this is a thing that One Piece tends to do quite a lot, which is to say, they will take an existing promo, and then they will make a winner version of it, but it's still the same card. Like this card here, they've zoomed in a bit, they've taken off the border, and they've added a pre-release winner stamp. Same card, same artwork even. Like the artwork here is blatantly the same as the regular card. They've just zoomed it in, gotten rid of the border, and added a pre-release winner stamp. And I love that they do this. I think this again is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. Because if you win the pre-release, you get a cool card. You get a card which is a little bit different from the regular card, and it's got the pre-release winner stamp, and absolutely love it. However, if you don't win the pre-release, and unfortunately most of you won't win the pre-release, that's kind of standard, well, you're missing out on the card, but it's not mechanically unique, and it's not that special. It's just a slightly cooler version of the cards you got for entering the pre-release, which I think is wonderful and a phenomenal way to do it. So what about the card then? Because it's important to note, this is a new card, what I like to term a mechanically unique card. This card doing this thing is only available at pre-releases, and it is a potentially usable card you may wish to try and grab a playset. 5 cost, 6,000 power, no counter. If this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack any card other than the character Eustace Captain Kidd. And that is going to sound a little bit familiar, and it should, because we've seen this skill on Kidd. I believe we've only seen this skill on Kidd, but we've seen this skill on Kidd. It is the Romance Dawn Kidd. Now, it's not entirely the same, because the one from Romance Dawn is Dawn X1, whereas this isn't. Technically, that also says on your opponent's turn, but you're not getting attacked on your turn, so it doesn't really matter. But the one from Romance Dawn had OP-01 to activate this skill, but it also had a second skill, activate May once per turn. You may rest this character to play a character of a cost of 3 or less from your hand. Also worth pointing out that this has 6,000 power, the one from Romance Dawn had 8,000 power. And obviously, if this is the only character your opponent can attack, if you've got a little bit more beef, it makes it harder to KO this character. And obviously, when the character is KO'd, your opponent can then go after whoever they like. So I'm not saying it's exactly the same card. I'm saying it's got a unique skill which is shared only by that card, and it does have the same skill. So the question basically becomes, do you want a slightly cheaper, weaker version of this card without the possibility of playing a free cost for free? Now, the weaker sounds bad, and the fact that you can't play a free cost for free is bad, so it's a weaker to be fair. But you're a 6 cost rather than an 8 cost, and you don't have to don X1 to get the skill. So make no mistake about it, it's not exactly the same, and it's not better in every way, but there are absolute definitive advantages here, and that is, it is a 5 cost rather than an 8 cost. That's huge. And you don't have to don X1 to get this skill rolling. Both of those things are genuinely significant reasons why you would go for this over the other. And you know what? That's a pretty good thing. But it's not just this promo card you get. When you rock up to pre-releases, you also get your pre-release pack. Remember, if you buy a booster box at the pre-release, you get a second pre-release pack. That is pretty gosh darned important. And basically, what you get in your pre-release pack is 2 random common or uncommon cards from OP-07, but they've got a new stamp. Stamped cards from OP-07. And of course, it is only commons and uncommons here. Not everything is available. That's pretty gosh darned important. So you look at the free cost Blogger Karina, which is pretty gosh darn good. It's a nice little card. And you're like, oh, mate, it's a rare. You can't have that. That's a little bit sad. But then you've got the free cost blocker Tanakasan, which you can. It's got a trigger that lets you play the card. And it is absolutely on the table as one that you can pick up here, which is really rather lovely. I do find that when I start looking through here for the ones that I particularly want, a lot of the ones end up being rare, because a lot of the better cards are rare, and that's fairly understandable. But for instance, there is a So-So Koala in green, which I like quite a bit, which is a common card. That is definitely one of the ones that I would most want to get here. As in most want to get as a pre-release promo. We have a Luffy that is an uncommon over in green. That if you've got 3 or fewer characters, then your characters of a cost of 3 or less other than Monkey D. Luffy won't be KO'd by your opponent's effects. That's one in green that I'm frankly a little bit of a fan of. You got cool little ones like Vinsmoke Sanji and Vinsmoke Reiju that are common cards with, rather lovely connecting artwork, which I think a lot of people are going to be absolutely into. But a lot of the time you'll look through looking for what you're getting and no. I will say my absolute number 1 card that I want more than any other in the pre-release, Hattori. Yeah, that's an uncommon. It boosts your Rob Lucci by 2k. And I love it. I think it's phenomenal and amazing, and I could not want this card much more. There is also a Nico Robin by Besai. I love Besai's artwork. I rather get the feeling this will be one of the more popular cards over at the pre-release. I'm not going to sit here and go through every common and uncommon card for fairly obvious reasons, but that's a smattering of some of the ones that can be picked up. Essentially, whatever deck you want to play, whatever commons and uncommons you think may be fitting in there, they are ones that are absolutely worth picking up. So there we go. There's your pre-release. We've got your kid promo, your pre-release pack, and hopefully, as long as your local game store's got enough stock, you will be able to pick up a box as well. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you're excited about for your pre-release. Tell me which cards from OP07 you want to be picking up. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching Wasi Plays.